Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, my Loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Today it is once again that time of the year. We are about to ring in a new year. So this one is kind of like on its way out the door. And we really need to talk about some of the very best products I discovered for the year 2023. Before we get started, a very special, very warm welcome to any of those that are new to my channel. I am so incredibly happy that you are here. If you enjoy the content, I do so hope that you will mash that thumbs up button. I hope that you will subscribe if you have not already. And I hope that you will ring my bell, turn on your notifications, so that way, next time I upload a video, you can come right back here and we can hang out together again. Also, my makeup is already done. I did make sure to film a TikTok on today's eye look if you are interested. I'll have the tags for that as well as everything that I'm going to be talking about in today's video listed in the description box below. Guys, if you are not following me on all my other socials, you definitely should go do that. I post fun content every single day, and if you're following me everywhere, you don't have to worry about missing a single moment of it. I think that's pretty much everything. If you have any questions about anything I'm talking about today or anything that might be on my face, all you got to do is leave me a comment and I will get back to you. Guys, any likes, any comments, if you share my videos, I am really hoping to grow my channel in a very big way in the coming year. So any interaction that you guys do with this video is really appreciated. It helps me out in such a gigantic way. So thank you in advance. All right, my loves. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the best of 2023. So I want to start with complexion products because I love all the categories, but I feel like it's one of the hardest categories to really nail down. One of the sections of makeup that is the most difficult to nail down. Everything that I'm going to be talking about in today's video, for the most part, is going to be a drugstore product. You guys know I am a drugstore queen. I enjoy my high-end makeup as well. We're gonna do a best of high-end a little bit later this week. But for right now, we're really going to try to focus mainly on drugstore makeup. Now, there are one or two high-end products that are going to be in today's video. But, of course, you guys know I did not pay full price for them. I either picked them up at Burke's, TJ Maxx, Marshall's, BoxyCharm, someplace like that, right? So it is very possible to get your hands on high-end makeup without having to pay that high-end price point. So let's start out with primers. First up, best glowy primer. This is that category I use every single time I do my makeup. Every single time I am using something to bring a little bit of life and a little bit of glow to my skin. I feel like it is very important, especially when you are a dried up, dusty old mummy like myself. First off, I think the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion is freaking phenomenal. I think it's a little bit pricey. L'Oreal is one of the pricier brands at the drugstore, but you get a ton of product in here. I think you get you get 1.35 fluid ounces of product in here. This is going to last you absolutely forever. It comes in a couple of different color choices as well. I have the 901 and 902. Both of these work beautifully for my skin tone. This one just gives me a really beautiful, very light, pearly glow. This one adds a little bit of a tint to my skin. It's just a little bit deeper. This one I like to use when I am in the middle of summer and I'm a little bit more tan. It still doesn't offer a ton of color to the skin, but it does give a slightly more bronzy glow to the skin. They're stunning. They feel beautifully hydrating. They have hyaluronic acid in there. There's glycerin in there. So on top of them giving you this really gorgeous lit from within glow to the skin, they also hydrate. So it's like a twofer in one product, and these are fantastic. I think these were in my best of last year as well. So these are a repeat offender and they're freaking fantastic. I will say the one that I use the most often is the 901. This is in the shade Fair Glow and it's just so pretty. I love that it comes in a squeezy tube. I think it's really easy to dispense the product. That's what it looks like. You blend it out, and it just gives such a gorgeous, pearlescent, very, very subtle, lit from within glow to the skin. I freaking love these. Best luminous primer of the year for sure. Next up for best hydrating primer. And I was like, there were a couple of different options for this category, but I ended up settling on the Flower Beauty Skin Smoothie primers. I just feel like these are so nice. So, like the L'Oreal Lumi Glotions, these ones come in a squeezy tube. However, these ones have a pump on them, which I really appreciate. They come in a couple of different variations, just the Skin Smoothie line in general. So this is the Radiant Glow Primer. So it gives you that really gorgeous hydrating feel, but this one also delivers, there's just a little bit of tint there. This one also delivers a little bit of glow to the skin. They smell delightful. They have a very light, fruity skincare kind of scent to them. I highly enjoy scented skincare, or like scented makeup, so I love that. Also, the scent isn't like too much, so if you don't enjoy scented skincare or scented products, this isn't gonna bother you, because it's literally just a slight little whiff, just there for a moment, and then it's gone. The minute it dries down, the scent goes away, but it just feels so delicious on the skin. It leaves such a slip behind, not like greasy or oily feeling at all. It just feels like really well hydrated, very smooth skin. Love it so, so much. And then they also have the Hydro Pop Primer. So this one basically the exact same thing. However, this one doesn't include the glow. So this one is just clear, and it just goes on, and it just feels so beautifully hydrating. I feel like the Hydro Pop is even more moisturizing than the Skin Glow. Yeah, the Radiant Glow one. I feel like the Hydro Pop, it almost feels like there's a little bit of just like something extra in there. It just goes on the skin, and it feels so nice. It feels like a really great moisturizer, like a lightweight water gel kind of cream consistency. However, it also kind of blurs out the skin a little bit, especially the Hydro Pop one. It's got almost this, like, I want to say like silicone-y kind of slip to it. It doesn't feel greasy, and it's not mattifying at all, but there's almost a silicone kind of quality to it that goes on and it hydrates, but also blurs out the skin at the same time. Now, these primers are a little bit more pricey. Flower Beauty is a fairly pricey drugstore brand, in my opinion, but you get a good amount of product in here. You get the standard amount. You get 1 full fluid ounce, so 30 mils of product. A little bit is going to go a fairly long way. So I really, really like these. Best hydrating primers on the market that I found this year anyway, for sure. And then we get into best skin blurring primers. So we're talking about pore fillers. We're talking about, like, you want a seriously evened out base. You've got problem areas with like your pores around your nose. My problem areas when my pores are concerned is especially my upper lip, the sides of my nose, and then on my chin. My pores just seem to be very big there. So these two right here are so freaking good. So these are the Makeup Revolution Blur Sticks, and I discovered these when Makeup Revolution came to Walmart, and I was like, I didn't quite know what to think about them because they are kind of expensive. I think these are like $15 a piece. I have the Blur Stick Bright, and then I also just have the original Blur Stick. I freaking love these. I definitely prefer the Blur Stick Bright. There is a little bit of a glow and a little bit of a luminosity here. However, I do feel like both of these primers are incredibly similar. So there we go. So I think the tones may be just a little bit different in the actual product, but it goes on to the skin clear, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. I will say that this just, so there's my pores, there's the back of my hand. Let's do just a little bit, and then you rub it in, and it just instantly, can you see how it instantly just blurs everything out? It is so good. I like the delivery system. It is very easy. It is a very, very chunky little stick though. So it can be a little bit difficult to get it in the little cracks and crevices. But I find that I just kind of like run this over the big areas of my face, and then I take my finger and just kind of like tap it in. Y'all, this stuff works, and I don't hear anybody talk about it like ever. This stuff 9 times out of 10 is on sale at the Revolution website as well, so you can definitely get this for at least a little bit off. Y'all, this stuff is so good. There were a couple of other primers that I thought I might mention, last year's winners, but I was like, let's do something new. And quite honestly, when I was looking for a pore filling primer, these were the ones that I reached for 9 times out of 10. Oftentimes you get a pore filling primer and it's very silicone-y, it feels very heavy on the skin, it just kind of leaves you looking a little bit greasy. It's also very, very mattifying, and it can be incredibly drying on the skin as well. And that is like a no-go, especially when you're a dried up dusty old mummy like me. I find that though these do feel just a little bit heavy on the skin, they actually work. They dry down. They play well with everything I've tested them against. They just really, really work. And the thing that I like about these is once you put them on and they dry down, they don't move, right? So like it continues to really fill in your pores and keep that base nice and even if you apply foundation with a brush or a sponge. Like sometimes those other pore filler primers, they're just very, very mobile, right? They can feel a little bit greasy, and it feels like, you know, it looks great until you start applying your foundation, and then it just kind of like goes away. These stay. Like once they dry down, they don't move, and you can beat your face up and your pores would still be nice and smoothed out and filled in. So I really, really like those. So that was the primer category for 2023. Next up, we have foundations. Another incredibly important category. Foundation is either going to make or break your makeup look, and I do feel like different foundations are needed for different applications. If you want something that's going to look good but wear really well throughout the day, I've got you. This one right here is like, this is my best all-around foundation of the year. This is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Serum Foundation. I believe this one last year as well, so it's another repeat offender. I have not found anything else that has been released that even like compares anywhere near. It's like, this is so good. It's so good. This is the foundation I know I can trust. I have such dry skin, but I'm also a very sweaty girl. I'm a big old girl. I get to moving, I get to going out and hustling and bustling, and the face just starts to pour. A lot of times, foundation just doesn't handle that very well. It either melts off my face or it breaks up and it beads up and it just looks terrible. This foundation, it looks beautiful in the middle of summer. It looks beautiful in the middle of winter when my skin is dry and cracky. This is just, it's a perfect foundation. I love the coverage. It is very, very buildable, but even with one light layer, I find that I get a good like light medium kind of coverage, which is plenty for me. I think this is fantastic. My only gripe with this foundation is the application method. It is messy and gross. I am not a big fan of the dropper applicator, but there are those little pumps that you can buy off of Amazon that you can stick in here instead. So if that bothers you, go pick one of those up. This is a fairly pricey foundation as well. This is a $20 foundation, especially coming from L'Oreal. I feel like it's pretty expensive. However, this is just one of those foundations that will never not be in my collection. It is the foundation I go to when I am like going out of town. It's the foundation I go to when I know that I am going to be out all day. I'm not going to have time to sit there and check my mirror, fix up my face, retouch, things like that. This is just the foundation that I can put on and not think about. And I just love it for that. It's fantastic. Literally the best foundation of the year again. Now, when it comes to a hydrating foundation or like just this one is just like, this is like a jack of all trades. This foundation looks beautiful by itself. It looks beautiful mixed in with other products. Like if you have a more mattifying foundation and you want to give it just a little bit of moisture, but you don't necessarily want to change the finish of it too awful much. You just want to make it a little bit more wearable for your dry skin. This is wonderful. You want something that is just like, it's just a fantastic foundation. It looks gorgeous on the skin. It wears beautifully throughout the day. This is the foundation that I'm wearing on my skin today. It always looks so beautiful. I would say this has a good solid light medium kind of coverage to it. Not too much of a builder. I feel like this is one of those foundations that it's just, you put it on and you're going to get what you get. But it just looks so beautiful with everything. It plays well with other foundations. It plays well with other concealers. There's just something about this foundation. And as you can tell, I really do love it because I'm just about out of it. This will be the second bottle of this that I've gone through this year. I just think it is so beautiful. On top of that, the shade L3 is a perfect skin tone match for me. I have a very difficult time finding a pink foundation because I am a very, very pink lady. It seems like everything pulls so yellow, especially like even drugstore and high-end. It just seems like all those complexion products want to pull very, very yellow or peachy. But this one is very pink. It is perfect for my skin tone. It looks gorgeous. This is my jack of all trades. This is the one like that just, if I just want something easy, if I just want something that's going to go on and give me like a straight up skin finish. This isn't super dewy. It's not mattifying either. It goes on and it looks like a second skin. It just, you honestly almost can't tell you have foundation on at all. It is so beautiful. I love this stuff so much, and it is incredibly affordable as well. You can pick this up at Walmart. You can pick it up at Dollar General. Like, it is a good foundation for a really good price point. And then last but not least, I want to talk about my favorite high-end foundation of the year. Now, one of the very few high-end products we're going to talk about in today's video, but I couldn't talk about foundations and not talk about this one because I just fell in love with it so instantly. This is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. I have mine in the shade Vienna. This is not a perfect skin tone match for me. It is a little bit yellow and a little bit dark, but I find that it does just look so beautiful on the skin. Now, I wouldn't say it's dewy. It does give you a really gorgeous kind of like lit from within finish, but it looks very, very skin-like. It's a very skin-like glowy foundation, incredibly lightweight. You can definitely tell this is oil-based. It feels so nourishing and hydrating on the skin. Gives you a really gorgeous solid medium coverage, but it's very buildable as well. It's never cakey, it's never heavy on the skin. This foundation goes for $50, which is incredibly expensive. One of the more expensive foundations in my collection. I was able to pick this up at Burke's for $25, which again is pretty pricey. So I'm not like saying you need to go pick this up. But if you are looking for a really fantastic high-end foundation, you just want to treat yourself just a little bit, and you have dry skin like I do, I really think that this NARS Light Reflecting Foundation is fantastic. It is so beautiful on the skin. I will say, however, I'm not a fan of the packaging. The packaging on this, it leaks, and it like, I just, for such an expensive foundation, I feel like they could have done better packaging. If you don't store this standing up, it leaks out and you end up wasting your product and it gets absolutely everywhere. So that's my only gripe with this foundation. The packaging is kind of atrocious, but the liquid inside is chef's kiss, 10 out of 10, freaking amazing. Next category is concealer, and I have 3 concealers for this category as well. First up is Best Eye Brightener. Now, this was such a thing this year. Seems like every brand came out with some kind of version of this. My very favorite is the Lottie London Bright Bounce Under Eye Color Correcting Eye Brightener. I freaking love this stuff so much. I have gone through quite a good bit of it. I love the tone of this. It is like very peachy, very pinky. It goes on, it color corrects. It is so hydrating. It looks so beautiful on the under eyes. It almost has like a sticky quality to it, which I know doesn't really sound great, but look how gorgeous that looks. Look how like hydrating and luminous it is. It looks so beautiful on the under eyes. I also find that if I'm having a difficult day, my foundation is trying to be difficult and nothing wants to stick to my nose, I just pop a little bit of this on my nose and it really helps that foundation grip to my nose as well. It's like a jack of all trades too. This one is a little multitasker, super affordable. I think this goes for just around $8. You get a good amount of product in here. It's fantabulous. great amount of coverage. I think the coverage there is almost, I want to say it's like a heavy medium, almost like a full coverage, depending on how much you put on. And it just feels so hydrating. It looks so gorgeous on the under eye. It's just, yeah, super, super pretty. I love this stuff so, so very much. A very, very best eye brightener that I tried this year. Next up, we have the favorite just like all around concealer, and it's got to be this one. This is the Revlon ColorStay Skin Awakening Caffeine Concealer. I freaking adore this stuff so much. I have this one in the shade 002. It's my favorite concealer of the year. You have a sponge tip applicator, very easy to just kind of bop, like kind of, you know, dab on underneath the eye. I like the application method. I like the concealer inside. It's got a great amount of coverage to it. Let's put a little bit on the back of my hand. It's got a great amount of coverage to it. I think the actual color of the concealer is really nice as well. So that's what it looks like. Beautifully brightening and hydrating without being, look at that coverage. It is so, so nice. It blends out effortlessly. It's nice. It's hydrating. It's long wearing. It doesn't crease on me like too badly. I have I have a lot of fine lines on my under eyes, so inevitably concealer is going to crease at some point, but I find this holds up really well on my under eye. It holds up well throughout the day. It looks beautiful on the under eyes, but also for spot concealing. It's brightening. It's got a great amount of coverage to it. There's just nothing wrong with this concealer. I love it. I don't know that it was my favorite of last year, but it's very possible that it was. This might be a repeat offender as well. But I just haven't found anything else that does it quite as well as this one does. And then for the best, like full coverage, like cutting concealer, carving concealer, cut crease concealer, we're going to have to go with this bad boy right here. This is the Covergirl Undercover Trublend Concealer. This stuff is freaking fantastic. It's a little bit pricey, but it is so nice. A great amount of coverage on this as well. Pretty full coverage. Yeah, pretty full coverage. It isn't drying. So a lot of these fuller coverage concealers, they can be so heavy and they can look so dry and so matte on the skin, especially if you have dry skin like I do. That is a no-no. Like, it just ends up looking awful throughout the day. So this is hydrating enough that I can wear it and not really have to worry about looking crusty and crumbly, but it's got a high enough coverage that it really does. It does the job. Like, it carves out the brows beautifully. It looks gorgeous as a cut crease medium. This is just one of those concealers that's going to do just about everything for you. It doesn't look bad on the under eyes either. Like, it's not my favorite on the under eyes, but it does look nice. Like I said, it's not super drying. It's not super heavy. Just a really good full coverage concealer. So those are my top 3 concealer picks for the year. Next up, we have Creme Contour, and this is quite possibly one of my very favorite categories of the entire video. There's something about cream contour that really just does it for me. I love being able to shape my face, kind of get rid of my double chin, kind of bring up my cheekbones a little bit, shrink my forehead just a tiny bit. Like, I love a good contour, and there have been so many really awesome contour options released this year. It was really difficult to pick. However, my number 1 contour stick of the entire year, you guys could probably already guess, is going to be my NYX Wonder Contour Stick. This thing is a little bit pricey. It's $15 depending on where you purchase it. And the only thing that really peeves me about this product is I only ever use one side of it. So I only ever use the contour side. I never touch the cream highlight side. It's not because it's a bad product. I just am not a cream contour kind of girl. It's a fairly subtle contour or highlight as well. So it really just doesn't do much of anything for me. But when I tell you this contour is creamy and dreamy and gorgeous and super easy to use, like, this will be what, my 3rd contour stick that I've used up this year. It's fantastic. I love the tone. This is in the shade light medium. It is the perfect mix of, like, it's just beautifully cool toned. It's so easy to blend out. It looks so gorgeous and natural on the skin. It gives you such a believable shadow. It's fantastic. Again, very easy to work with, very easy to reach for. My very, very favorite cream contour product of the year. Now, when you want to talk about like a palette, if you're more of a palette girly and not so much a stick girly, Mama has got you in that department as well. For that, I have two separate options. One of them is very, very, like, it's very easy to find. This one is the e.l.f. Cream Contour Palette. Now, in my opinion, this is more of a bronzer palette because there is quite a bit of warmth in this palette as well, but it's freaking fantastic. I'm going to open it and you guys can see how truly loved it is by me. I use all three of these tones just like interchangeably. I just usually mix all three of them together. They're freaking fantastic. They're beautiful. The actual cream itself is like, it's a little bit thick. It's a little bit thick, but it's got a great amount of coverage to it. It's got a great tone to it as well. So this is the lightest shade in the palette. That's what she looks like. So you can see, as opposed to my NYX contour stick, there's a little bit more redness to it. There's a little bit more warmth there, but still a very, very pretty color. Then we have the deepest tone in the palette. So that's that one right there. And this one, I just think they're all super pretty. Super pretty. These ones feel a little bit heavier on the skin. They don't blend out quite as easily as my NYX one does, but I find that they apply beautifully with a brush. You can see a little bit more warmth there as well, but definitely just a really cool kind of neutral tone throughout all of the different shades. And then there's the last one right there. Blend her out. And that's what she looks like. I think they're all really beautiful, beautiful contour colors. There is just a tiny bit more warmth there than my NYX stick, which is why I say it's more of a bronzer palette. So it's going to bring a little bit of warmth and life to the face, but also chisel and sculpt at the same time. So if you're one of those people who likes to get, multiple steps done at one time, I think this is fantastic. This is a gorgeous palette. You get 3 pans of contour. You also get this lighter shade, which is more of a highlight shade. It is very, very yellow and really not my favorite. I don't think I ever really use it. That's what that looks like. I think this is supposed to be more of a concealer tone. I don't ever really dip into that tone very often though. But for these 3 pans of contour, you're going to pay about $8 for this palette. I think that price point is freaking spectacular, especially when you consider you're only getting a little bit of like one contour in here and it's 15 bucks. I definitely think this is a more affordable option. You're getting a ton of product in here. You're getting options. I think this palette is just, it's the best cream contour available like at the drugstore. I'm talking about like if you walk into Walmart, this is like the best contour option you're going to find. It is fantastic. But if you want something that is just like, it's like straight up gray. If you are the fairest of the fair and you are looking for a straight up gray contour, you can never find anything that fits your very fair skin tone. You really just want your face to look like you are just freaking snatched, right? Like you want shadows on your face. I can't recommend this one any more highly. Like this one is just, it is chef's kiss perfection. This is the Creme Shop 123 Smile Cream Contour Palette. Look at those tones. Look at those tones and tell me this is not probably the coolest contour option you've ever seen. Like some of these tones are straight up freaking gray. Like especially this light shade right here. That is straight up gray. They have a fantastic amount of coverage to them. They're so pigmented. I love that you get 3 separate options in here, all of different depths. They're all fantastic. And again, I use these pretty interchangeably. I'll just kind of like dip my brush in there into all 3 shades and just kind of go to town on my face. This one is definitely the most gray. This one's got just a little tiny bit more of a taupiness to it. And this one is just like almost like a charcoal color. But I know they look scary swatched out. But once you blend them out, they sheer out so beautifully. And they just look like straight up shadows on the skin. Like, and this is going to be that contour option for the girlies who really want to snatch their face. Like, you straight up want to look like shadows. Like, you want straight shadows on your face. This is going to be what does it for you. They also have a medium variation that is still very cool toned, but more on the natural kind of spectrum. That one definitely has a little bit more warmth to it. It's not quite as gray toned. So if those tones make you feel a little bit more comfortable, there's that option as well. But this is so affordable. You get 3 very generous pans of product for around $8. The only place I can really find this is Amazon, but it is my favorite. It is my favorite contour palette of the year. I know that I have spoken about this in so many videos this year. It's truly a perfect contour palette. I love this thing. It is probably one of my very favorite discoveries of the year. It has made all of my contouring dreams come true. It's spectacular. Now, if you want to talk about a good powder contour, y'all, there are not a ton of options, unfortunately, available at the drugstore. My two very favorites are from very affordable drugstore brands, though. The first of which is this Essence Contouring Duo. This is a pretty new addition to my collection. I've only had this maybe for like 5 or 6 months at this point, but I have used so much of it. It's a really beautiful, very, like, I wouldn't say it's like super cool toned, but it is a very beautiful contour palette. I think the tones in here are very, very pretty. I think that it gives your face some shape and it contours without looking too gray. Yeah, it's really, really pretty. I love the deeper tone. What I will usually do is mix the deeper tone with the lighter tone. I'll mix the two of them together, and it usually gives me my perfect kind of contour shade. I think the powder itself is very, very smoothing. It's very velvety. It is very, very matte, but it's not like, I don't know, it looks so pretty on the skin. It doesn't like mattify or dry your skin out. The powder itself lays on the skin really beautifully. Super affordable as well. I think this is only like $4 or $5, so really fantastic option, especially if you want a smaller contour palette. My very favorite powder contour palette of the year, though, is definitely from Profusion. Y'all, this thing has seen better days. This has seen better days. I am almost done with it. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know of any other face palette in my collection that is like it. This is almost gone. As soon as we get done with today's video, she is actually going in the empties bin because I am done with her. I love all 3 of the contour powders. I love both of these highlights. This one's just a little bit too deep for me. I will show you a brand new version of it, though, so we can compare. So this is the version that I have been working on all year, and then this is what a new one looks like. Very, very big difference, right? So this is the Profusion Highlight and Contour 1 palette. So you have your highlight powder, you have your light sculpt, and then your medium sculpt, and then you've got your highlights up here at the top, like your shimmery highlights. Both of these highlights, you have a very soft champagne, and then you've got something that's a little bit pinkier. I love both of these very, very much. It's actually the highlight that I'm wearing today. So stunning. Smoothing and bright and brilliant and like definitely very reflective without emphasizing texture or looking chunky or glittery on the skin. So beautiful. And then the contour powders in here are so velvety and so soft. They're absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that this palette is only $5 just absolutely blows my freaking mind. So there's the deeper contour, and here is the lighter contour. Guys can see the difference. I think both of the powders in here are stunning. They work beautifully on my skin tone. The shimmers or the highlights in here are just absolutely freaking blinding. Super smooth and like highly reflective. They're just so pretty. I love them so much. If you like used this on a client, I have used this on a couple of my clients before. It's my go-to powder contour palette. Nobody ever believes me when I tell them that it's a $5 palette. It's just, the quality is just absolutely insane, especially when you take into consideration how much product you're getting in here. You're getting highlight and contour in here. You're getting a multitude of different shades, and it's only $5. Like, this thing is fantastic. The packaging is absolute trash. I'm not a big fan of the packaging. It is like, mine is broken. You can see Like, but I've had this for a good long while, use it all the time, and it's not broken or anything. So, I mean, I guess it's not the absolute worst. I do wish the packaging was a little bit better. It's just cheap, very thin, flimsy plastic packaging. But for $5, I'm really not going to gripe about it too much. This is my very, very favorite powder contouring product of the entire year. I believe this one last year's best of as well. It's just a fantastic, fantastic product. And until another brand does it better, this is probably going to continue to be my very favorite powder contouring product available at the drugstore. Next up, we have bronzer, and this one is another one of those categories that I'm just, oh, I love so, so much. We're going to start with cream bronzer. For stick, we have the Essence Baby Got Bronze sticks. Guys, these are freaking fantastic. First of all, super teeny tiny cute adorable little packaging. For as tiny as they are, you're actually getting a ton of product in here. These are going to last you for absolutely forever. They're under $5. Another just win-win-win across the board. Super freaking affordable. They come in a ton of different color options. I have 2 different options here. This one is Mocha Me Crazy, which is a super deep, really, really gorgeous, like, oh. So these could also be considered contours just because they're very, very cool toned. Like, they still bring warmth to the skin, but they are definitely a cooler toned option, which makes, you know, us fair-skinned ladies jump out of our skin just a little bit. We're jumping for joy. So this is the shade Mocha Me Crazy. Phenomenal. I also have the shade Moon Dust, and this one is like a straight up contour option. This is just like straight up gray. Freaking adore this so, so much. On top of that, they blend out beautifully. Very, very lightweight on the skin, very sheer, very buildable formula. Now, these are not the easiest things to blend out. Like, they don't take really any effort at all, but they're not the easiest. So I do find that applying these with a brush is going to be your best option. Y'all, they smell like watermelon. That's another just like, ugh, love it. I love a good scented makeup product. I just think that it's fun. It brings a new sensorial element to the experience and just improves it overall, in my opinion. These are fantastic. Super affordable, super teeny tiny. If you wanted to take these traveling, these literally take up no room in your makeup bag. Great shade range. They're just fantastic. Love them so, so, so very much. So yeah, best stick bronzer of the year, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to liquid bronzer, baby, these have got it all day, every day. These are the, oh gosh, good gravy. These are the Hard Candy Face Off liquid bronzers. I have them in the lightest and medium options. The shade Honey Glaze, I think this one is so pretty. Don't really smell like anything, but y'all, these are so, so beautiful. The perfect amount of warmth. So this one is the shade Honey Glaze. I believe this one is the maybe the medium toned option. It has a great amount of warmth to it. They blend out freaking effortlessly. They have more of like a liquid gel consistency, which means they go on the skin and they play well with other products. They don't ever pick up my foundation. They don't mess with my base products. They just go on. They're never patchy. They're never streaky. They're just super easy to use, beautifully pigmented, all around a fantastic product. On top of that, because it's from Hard Candy, it's beautifully affordable as well. I think these go for only around $7 or $8. So that was the shade Honey Glazed, and then I also have the shade Sweet Tea. I think this is the lightest option. I think this one is a little bit more cool toned compared to the other one, but still warmer than the Essence Baby Got Bronze sticks. And I just, again, same things. I just think the tones of these are spot on. I can use pretty much both of these interchangeably, just depending on how deep I want my bronze to go. I think they're fantastic. Cannot beat the price point. Can't beat the amount of product you get in here either. You get a good amount of product. You get 0.33 fluid ounces. And again, they're pretty pigmented, so a little bit of them is going to go a fairly long way. These are going to last you a good long while. They're fantastic. I love the doe foot applicator. The actual formula feels so cooling and refreshing when applied to the skin. These are fantastic. They blend out beautifully with both a brush and a sponge. They're just a win-win-win across the board. Fantastic. And then when it comes to like a pot like a pot style. Y'all, I could not do today's video and not mention these. So these are the ShopMissA Venetian Romance Creamy Bronzers. These come in 3 different shades. I have the lightest and medium variations. Y'all, when I tell you, this is the shade Canal. This is the medium option. Y'all, and I love the tone of them as well. They're beautifully cool tone, like not maybe cool tone, but they're beautifully neutral, so they work for cooler skin tones. They go on, they bronze, but they also shape at the same time. So like I said, this is the medium option, but then I also have the lightest option, which is the shade Canal, and it's just look at the tone of that. They're so freaking pigmented. They're so creamy. They apply it beautifully with both a brush and a sponge. They're never patchy. They never pick up product underneath. They just go on and they look so, so gorgeous. These are, if I had to pick a favorite out of all of these, it would definitely be the Venetian Romance Creamy Bronzers. Guys, they're $1.55. They're $1.55 at ShopMissA. You cannot beat either this price point or this quality. They come in these super adorable little glass jars. You're not getting a ton of product in here. You're only getting 0.14 ounces, so 4 grams of product, which again is not very much at all. But remember, it's $1.55 and they're so pigmented. The tiniest amount of these is gonna take you the very, very longest way. These will probably last me for a good long while. I love these. And I know we're not on the blush option yet, or the blush category yet, but they also released creamy blushes in this same packaging, and they're freaking to die for. I'm going to show them. I'm going to talk to you about them in just a minute. Now, moving on to powder bronzers. And powder bronzer is just one of those things. It's like, for me, there's a million nice good powder bronzers at the drugstore. It's not something I usually venture into high-end for. However, I did dip a toe into the high-end bronzer pool this year, and I found 2 that I really, really liked. Now, the first of which is more of a mid-range kind of price point. This is a $20 bronzer. This is the LYS No Limits Matte Bronzer. This is in the shade Harmony. This is the medium tone out of the range, and I just think it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's a really gorgeous matte bronzer. It's just, I love the tone. I love the tone. I love the way that it applies. It just goes on so evenly. It never looks muddy. It never looks patchy. I love the packaging as well. You get a nice full-size little mirror in here. I love that it's a little triangular rose gold package. I just think this is so super cute. Then I also stumbled across the Cover FX Monochromatic Bronzing Duo. I have mine in the shade Suntan Bronze. And first of all, I think the packaging is really gorgeous. I picked this up at Burke's this year. This is a very expensive bronzer duo. So as much as I love it, and I'm going to talk about it because it's one of my favorites of the year, you definitely don't need to go pick this up because, again, it is very expensive and overpriced in my opinion. But if you come across it discounted somewhere, I recommend you pick it up because it is really beautiful. So the Cover FX Monochromatic Bronzer Duo. So you get a shimmery kind of almost highlight, low light maybe, and then you get this bronzer. But the reason I love this so much is because this bronzer is freaking just, the tone of it. The tone of it is just something I don't really have anywhere else in my collection. The tone is somewhere between like this really gorgeous, almost like neutral, cool toned kind of color, but then it's got a red undertone to it. It just goes on and it looks so beautiful on the skin. It's so smooth and easy to blend out. It's almost blurring on the skin. I just freaking love it. And then you also have this kind of like shimmery side, and this is like, it's almost like a freaking highlighter. It's like super metallic and super pigmented, but when you take a little bit of that and you put it on top of the powder bronzer, it makes the most gorgeous kind of luminous, just super glowy, very natural bronzy Tropicana. Just it looks so pretty on my skin. I usually just take a big fluffy bronzer brush and just kind of swirl it in between the two powders, and it just goes onto the skin so effortlessly and so beautifully. There's just something about the addition of this kind of like shimmery shiny shade, and once it blends out, it's not like super metallic. It just gives you this really gorgeous, very like low-key kind of glow to it. Oh, they're so, so pretty. I really wish the drugstore would come out with something similar to this, because this is just chef's kiss. It is so, so pretty. Well, probably my favorite powder bronzer of the year. This thing is just absolutely everything. And then we have my drugstore option, and this thing is just, it's immaculate. This thing is just like, I found this and I was like, oh, that is so, so pretty. So this does pretty much what the Cover FX one does, just not quite as, not quite as shimmery, not quite as glowy and gorgeous. This is the Flower Beauty Heatwave Bronzer in the shade Sunrise. L1 Sunrise? Yeah, L1 Sunrise. Guys, when I tell you this freaking bronzer is so beautiful. I love the packaging. It is drugstore packaging. It's plastic packaging, but it feels thick. It feels a little bit like, it feels more, you know, like more than drugstore packaging. It feels like a little bit more high end. Now, this is a baked product, so it is domed, and it is so freaking pretty. It is, the color of it, first of all, is so perfect for my skin tone. It has the most gorgeous kind of like cool tone. There's almost like a pinky mauviness to this bronzer that just looks so beautifully natural on the skin. So there's it blended out. Let me do a better swatch over on the other side. So there's a little bit of a better swatch. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it has this like almost rosy tone, undertone to it, that just goes on, and it looks so beautiful and so natural on the skin. The actual like the texture of the powder is so fine and so velvety and so lightweight. It is just absolutely flawless on the skin. Let me apply a little bit and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to take my fluffy bronzer brush and I'm just going to kind of tap it into the pan, and it just applies so beautifully onto the skin. It looks so freaking gorgeous. You guys can see it just goes on, and it almost has that little bit of like a rosy mauviness to it that just looks so freaking stunning on the skin. I love that it is a marbled product, so there's a little bit of a luminosity there as well, so it doesn't just look flat and matte on the skin. Y'all, it's stunning. This is definitely my favorite powder bronzer of the year. Like, I really, really love this Cover FX one, and I think it is super, super, super pretty. But this one really, really surprised me how beautiful it is. And it's probably my most unique one, just because that tone, that almost slightly mauve undertone that it has, is so unexpected, but so beautiful on the skin at the same time. Now, this is a pretty pricey bronzer, as are most things from Flower Beauty. It's a little bit pricey, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it. This one I reach for every time I'm not filming, because I can't continue to use the same thing over and over again. But every time I reach for a bronzer and I'm just kind of like doing my makeup for myself, this is the bronzer I reach for. It is so pretty. Just, I can't get over how pretty it is on the skin. Love it. Moving on to blushes. Let's talk about some cream blushes really quickly. So blush was one of those categories this year that I kind of went all out on. I really purchased and went through and tested some specifically cream and liquid blushes. It seemed like there were a ton of them released this year, so I ended up testing a bunch of them out. First up, we have the She Glam liquid blushes. Guys, these are freaking beautiful. They're so, so beautiful. First of all, packaging, 10 out of 10. These are stupidly affordable. I think they're only like $5 or $6 a piece. They're widely available. You can get these on Amazon. You can get them on the She Glam website. They're so, so freaking cute. You open it up and you have a like a sponge tip applicator. This is one of their newer shades. It's in the shade Petal Talk, and it is the most gorgeous, very, very cool toned, like lavender pink. Baby, let me tell you, this shade is so freaking pretty. This is a really gorgeous layering shade as well. It just goes on. They're beautifully pigmented, but they sheer out really, really well. and then they build up on themselves really nicely as well. They're more of a matte formula, but they have a little bit of a luminosity to them that just looks so natural on the skin. This is fantastic. Then we have the Lottie London. These are the cheek kiss. What are the sweet blushes? The Lottie London Sweet Blushes. These I pick up at Walmart. They're also available at Ulta online. These come in a bunch of different tones, and this is a liquid bronzer, but it's like somewhere between a liquid and a cream. It's a very thick liquid bronzer, and these are just stunning. They're beautifully pigmented. They go on, but they sheer out really, really well. They apply well with both a brush and a sponge. Yeah, and the tones on these are so beautiful, especially if you're looking for a super easy, very wearable, everyday kind of blush range. These are going to have it for you. They have some really beautiful, very, very natural, neutral toned blushes that just look so beautiful and ridiculously gorgeous on the skin. Also, really great price point here as well. I think there's only like $6 or $7 a piece. Really, really gorgeous. And then we have perhaps one of my favorite cream blush formulas of the year. We have the Colored Rain cream blushes. Now, I picked these up in a couple of different tones. This is actually the blush that I'm wearing today. This is the Colored Rain cream blush in the shade Spicy. It is a straight up super pigmented orange blush. Y'all, that little teeny tiny dot will do both of my cheeks. It is so intensely pigmented that it can be a little bit scary to work with if you go heavy-handed on it. But when I tell you this blends out and it looks so freaking gorgeous on the skin, like the pigmentation there is absolutely insane. You saw I picked up the tiniest amount of that on my finger. It blends out super easily, highly, highly pigmented. I picked up this orange shade. I also picked up the shade Butterfly, which is a really gorgeous purple. I just think these are fantastic. Now at full price, I think these are about $13 to $16. I'm not quite sure. I was able to pick these up on sale for around $5 a piece, which is mind-blowing. But even at full price, I think these are so worth it. Colored Rain is an independently owned and operated brand. They're also Black owned and women operated, which we absolutely freaking adore. So I definitely like supporting brands like that. And their quality on all of their products is just, it's exceptional. Really, really fantastic products. Now, just like a bonus blush I want to talk about are the, I was talking about the ShopMissA Venetian Romance Creamy Bronzers. The blushes are just as freaking good. So this is the shade Tea Party, and this is a really gorgeous kind of like terracotta orange tone. They're so freaking nice. They're so pigmented and so creamy. They just go on and they blend out like absolute butter. They look how pigmented that is. And I just got the tiniest bit of that on the tip of my finger. I also have the shade, this is the shade Parasol. And this one is just a really gorgeous kind of like deep rosy kind of like berry tone. But they just go on and they blend out so beautifully. I do own the entire range of these blushes, and each and every single one of them is just as beautiful, if not more so, than the last. I just think that value for quality of the product, these are literally the best blushes of the year. Now, I wasn't gonna mention them because I mentioned the bronzers, and I didn't want to like go overboard on ShopMissA. But y'all, I'm telling you, the Venetian Romance line, just in general, top notch. Some of the best that ShopMissA has ever put out. These are freaking phenomenal. And I think that was about it for the cream blushes for this year. As for powder blush, great year for powder blush as well. I think powder blush is one of those categories where it's just genuinely difficult to make a bad powder blush. I mean, as long as it's pigmented and as long as it blends well, I mean, I figure powder blush, it's pretty hard to mess up, right? But there were a few standouts for the year. First up, best blush palette is going to be this stack from You Can Be, of all brands. So You Can Be is a brand that I usually find on Amazon, and they're really, really affordable. So this is the 5-color blush palette. I think I call it a stack, but they call it a palette. You get 5 different tones in here. This was $10, which makes each blush around $2, which is a freaking steal. So you get 5 really gorgeous pink tones in here. You also get a little mirror at the top. So this is blush number 1. Blush number 2 is like that really gorgeous kind of like bubblegum petal pink. Blush number 3 is this really sunny, like peachy coral kind of color. Blush number 4 is a slightly deeper, more kind of like almost Pepto-Bismol pink. And then shade number 5 is this really gorgeous kind of like almost brownie mauve tone. And then in the bottom, it also comes with a brush. Guys, all in all, this stack, I have reached for this stack so many freaking times. I just think it is so convenient. Again, it's around $10. It's not very expensive at all. This would be fantastic to travel with. You've got all your blush tones in one little stack. Packaging actually super adorable as well. I love all of the tones in here. They're all almost a little bit creamy and a little bit pastel. They blend well. They look gorgeous on the skin. Like, these are fantastic. So my very favorite blush palette of the year is the You Can Be 5-color blush palette. Favorite purple. You guys know my 2 favorite blush colors, like, of all time are orange and purple. And I found quite possibly the most beautiful purple blush I have ever beheld this year. And it is pricey. This is the Lorac Pro Color Source blush, and this is in the shade Ultraviolet, and it is just, it's the most beautiful purple blush ever created. It is so freaking beautiful. I cannot get over it. Now, I didn't pay full price for this. I picked this up off of the BoxyCharm drop shop. I think this blush usually goes for around $30, which is very pricey for a blush. That is definitely a high-end price point. However, ask me if when I run out of this blush, if I will go repurchase it at full price. The answer is going to be yes, because this blush, I can't tell you how many times I have reached for it. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. Now, I don't think that anything about the actual formula or the powder itself is anything super spectacular or different. It is genuinely just the color that I cannot get over. Oftentimes you get a purple blush and it translates very pink and a lot warmer on the cheeks. It just kind of blends out. A good example of that is actually this blush from Makeup Revolution. So this is their blusher reloaded in the shade Viral Purple. And I picked both of these up because I just thought this was such a beautiful purple shade. I thought that was going to be so almost neon on the cheeks. I was very excited about this one. However, once you kind of like put it onto the cheeks and it blends out just a little bit, it definitely comes off more pink. Can you see the difference in those swatches? See how much pinker this looks, how this kind of stays purple, and this just looks so pink. Once you blend this out, it just looks like, I don't know, it just looks more pink than it does purple, and it's honestly just a little bit disappointing. Yeah, it just looks so much more pink than it does anything else. But this Lorac blush, man, it just stays purple. It stays purple no matter how much you blend it out. It is just, in my opinion, it's the best purple blush I've ever used. I just think it is so spectacular. So, best purple blush ever. This one, the Lorac Color Source Ultraviolet blush, is 100 out of 100. Freaking fantastic. And then for my last kind of pick for powder blush, it's LA Colors. LA Colors makes some of the prettiest pink blushes freaking ever. So I know that I have been talking about this blush in particular for years on my channel. This is the Rad Rouge blush in the shade Valley Girl. It is the most gorgeous bubblegum pink, kind of like, this was out before this was a super trendy color. Like, I've had this in my collection for years at this point, and it is the most gorgeous bubblegum, kind of almost lavender baby pink shade. It is spectacular. These are super affordable as well. I think they're anywhere from like $3 to $5 depending on where you purchase them from. They're freaking fantastic. Get a great amount of product in here. It also comes with a little mirror, and then also comes with a brush in there as well. So yeah, fantastic. Love that so much. And then this one I just picked up from the Dollar Tree the other day. I want to say probably a couple months ago now at this point, but this tone of pink I just think is so pretty. And like the actual formula, like I said, it's really difficult to make a bad blush in my opinion, but LA Colors, there's just something about their tones that they get so right. Like this is such a beautiful bright poppy pink without looking too warm. And I think that's the problem that I have with a lot of pink blushes. They go on and they just turn so warm on my complexion that it's really not pink. It's more peach than anything else. And these actually stay pink and they stay that really beautiful like baby doll bubblegum pink color. So yeah, love them so very much. The next category is highlighters. And this was a category that was like not very tough for me at all. You know, though, you have those products that you just reach for continuously. It was like I pretty much knew exactly which ones I wanted to talk about. First up, we have liquid highlighters, and this one is just the best all around. That means this is the best mix-in. This is the best primer. This is the best add-in to, like, this is just the best liquid all around multi-purpose highlighter of the year. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Liquid Highlight. Unfortunately, this only comes in one shade, but let me tell you, this is so absolutely beautiful. First of all, it smells fantastic. It has that same signature butter scent. Smells like a tropical freaking vacation, and I love it. This is such a beautiful product. It is so hydrating. It feels so beautiful on the skin. This looks gorgeous mixed into foundation. This looks gorgeous all over the face. If you want to do like a super luminous, very glowy primer situation, this is going to be that. This looks beautiful mixed in with lotion. If you wanted to put this all over your body, like your arms and your legs, it's a gorgeous, like, all over, like, body makeup kind of thing. So pretty. This is just one of those products that does it all. It is so beautiful. It's also just a little bit pricey. I think this is like a $14 or $15 product, but you get a ton of product in here. You get 3 fluid ounces of product in here, which is going to legitimately last you a freaking lifetime. This looks beautiful, just dabbed over the highest points of your face as like a very subtle, very natural kind of highlight. This is beautiful. It is it's just good. It is good for so many different purposes. It's fantastic. If you're looking for the one that does it all, it's definitely going to be this one right here. So most blinding liquid highlight is going to go to About Face. This is the About Face Light Lock Liquid Highlighting Fluid. This is in the shade Shaken or Stirred. And let me tell you, this is freaking blinding. This is the brightest, most metallic, like, look at that. It is the most metallic. It's not glittery at all. It is a super smooth, very reflective, very metallic, blinding liquid highlight. This is just one of those things that you could just kind of like tap on as a finishing kind of thing. My highlight's pretty beaming today anyway, but it just looks so beautiful. Even just kind of like tapped on to the highest points. It's beautiful. I love the tone. I love the texture of it. It's just, the packaging is 10 out of 10. This is definitely the prettiest liquid highlight, prettiest highlight in general in my entire collection. You get a good amount of product in here. I don't know if it says 15 mils, so half a fluid ounce of product. So not very much product in here, and it is rather expensive. I think this is like $16 or $18. So not as good of a value as the Physicians Formula, but still a really beautiful highlight. This is going to be another one of those things that you could definitely mix in with your body lotion or something like that to give yourself that serious summertime glow. So pretty. So yeah, these are my 2 very favorite liquid highlights of the year. Speaking about powder highlights, my very favorite single powder highlight of the year is from ShopMissA. This is the ShopMissA Everglow Powder Highlight in the shade Twilight. So first of all, the packaging is actually really nice, especially when you think about the fact that this is $1.55. It's $1.55 and you're getting like very nice packaging. I love the topper of it. It just feels like it definitely should cost more than $1.55. So I really appreciate that. You even get a little mirror in here. The mirror is actually pretty nice quality as well. And then this is your highlight. And when I tell you this highlight is so beautiful. It is a really gorgeous, very light golden champagne color. It just goes on. It's not chunky or glittery in any way. It just goes on. Let's do a little bit of let me show you guys what I'm talking about. It goes on and it just, let's put a little bit on my chin. I have so much highlight on at this moment. Can you guys see the glow that it instantly adds? This is actually the highlight that I'm wearing today. It just is so pretty. I have so much highlight on already. I don't even know that it's going to be able to show up. But it's so glowy and so gorgeous. It's so reflective without being icy. It doesn't look like a metallic stripe on the skin. You blend it into the skin and it just kind of melts in, and it just looks like you can sheer it out and give yourself such a lit from within kind of glow with it, or you can really build it up and get something that's super blinding and icy. This comes in a couple of different shade variations. I think it is spectacular considering quality and price point for $1.55. This is one of, I think this one last year as well. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful highlight. I just continuously reach for it time and time again. Moving on to like highlight palettes, this one from Pixi is so beautiful. This is the Pixi Hello Kitty Chrome Glow Highlight Blush Palette. So I just think these are beautiful. Very, very high quality formulas. Super, super smooth. Very, very reflective. Very, very glowy. It is a little bit pricier. I think this palette goes for around $20. But when I tell you, these highlights are so smooth. They're so smooth and so glowy. Let's do a little bit right here. Can you guys see that? Like, it instantly just goes on. It doesn't pick up on texture. It just adds a really beautiful, almost smoothing kind of glow to the skin. They're beautiful. I love that you get these deeper kind of tones in here that like work as like blush lighters. They're just, look at that color. They're so pigmented. They're so pretty. Pixi is one of those brands that doesn't get a ton of love on my channel just because I do think they're quite expensive, and often I find that most of their products are overpriced. But this one, this Chrome Glow palette right here, I think is worth every cent of the price tag. I just think it's so beautiful. You get tons of options in here, and they're just really, really nice quality. Now, if you want to talk about a higher end kind of price point, we have this one right here. So this is the Ace Beauté. This is the Glow Essentials Highlighter Palette. This is by far and away probably my most used highlighting palette of the year. I just feel like it's spectacular. So you get 6 different tones in here, and the reason I love this palette as much as I do, you get a mirror in here as well, but they're just so, the texture of these is unlike anything else in my collection. They're so reflective and so metallic, but they just, you guys see that? But they just, literally, they just melt into the skin. I love the textures in this palette as well, like the tones that they picked, because you have these kind of like standard shades, like you have your gold and your champagne, something that's a little bit bronzier, but you also have like this really gorgeous, like almost duochromatic kind of pearlescent shade that is so fun. Like if you just want a highlight that's a little bit different, this shifts from like a, almost got like a blue teal pink kind of switch to it, like a gold to pink. It is so pretty, looks so gorgeous on the skin. Like I have this on my finger, and all I want to do is just put it all over my face. Let's see if we can put a little bit over on this side and see if you guys can actually see. You see how it just gives you that really light pearlescent pink kind of tone? It's almost lavender. It's freaking beautiful. And then you have this super gorgeous kind of like icy white tone. Y'all, it's just, oh! So it is very, very expensive though. I'm gonna have to like, I have so much highlight on my face right now. But it's a little bit pricey. I think this palette at full price is gonna be around $30, $35, which is a lot. However, if you are one of those people who just likes to have all of your highlighting options in one place, you can just grab for it and go. I think this is spectacular. I think that it's worth the price point. I certainly do. The quality in this palette is freaking, it's almost unmatched. They're so reflective, but they just kind of melt into the skin. They never look crunchy or glittery or just, they never look powdery in any way. It's just such a smooth, kind of like melty, glowy kind of highlight. They're so beautiful. I love this thing. I reach for it continuously. But yeah, probably my favorite highlighting palette. It is just a little bit higher end though, so I don't mention it as often as I probably should. It's just so pretty. And then the packaging is really nice as well. It's your pretty standard cardboard packaging, but it feels thick and heavy. It definitely feels luxurious. Just got my hair stuck in there. It feels luxurious and heavy and weighted, and it's very pretty. And then for powders. Now powders is one of those, I'm a dried up dusty old mummy. Powders is so important. A bad powder will ruin your makeup day. It will just absolutely destroy all of the work that you have put into your makeup. You put a bad powder on top of it and it just sucks the life out of your skin. So I am so picky when it comes to powders, and I genuinely found a couple of spectacular ones, like some of the best powders I've ever used. Now the loose powder is what I like to set my under eye. I really feel like loose powders, I can really control how much powder I'm getting. I can really be very even with my application, and they really set things and lock things down. I found two this year that absolutely blew my socks off. First of which is the Lottie London loose setting powder. This stuff is, I think it's the extraordinary loose setting powder, something like that. This goes for $22 at full price, and it is worth every cent. It is worth every cent of that. This is probably the most beautiful, most finely milled, most lightweight, most hydrating powder, if a powder can be hydrating, I have ever used. It's what I'm wearing today. It's what I'm wearing every single day I do my makeup. This is what I prefer to set my under eyes with. My under eyes are such a problem area for me. They're so dry. They're so crepey and cakey. Like, powder just turns it into a very bad situation very quickly. But I take my brush and I lightly dust this on my under eye. It sets everything down. It locks it down. This has a really beautiful light watermelon scent to it. It's fantastic. It is a perfect powder. It is a perfect powder if you have dry skin. At a much lower price point, but just as good. This is the Moira Set and Correct Loose Setting Powder. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Givenchy Prisma Libre Loose Setting Powder. It's got the different compartments with the different colored powders in there. This one is so beautiful. So whereas this one doesn't really brighten or anything, it's a true translucent powder. All it does is set my concealer, and then it just kind of like, that's all it does. This one, it brightens. It definitely sets, but it also, I don't know what it is. It kind of like color corrects. Like, this is such a beautiful powder. This looks good all over the face. It looks good on the under eyes. It is fantabulous. It's also only $12. I think $12 for this product is, I mean, it's kind of insane. Moira is another independently owned brand, but they're so affordable. They're so affordable. They're like one of my very favorite brands of all time. They come out with such fun, high quality products. And this powder, I wasn't exactly sure what to think about it, but the minute I used it, I realized that this powder is genuinely something special. So there are all of the colors kind of mixed together. This is in the shade Rose Pink. It is my favorite shade from this range. It just goes on. It is so beautifully, it's super finely milled and very lightweight, but it also has just a tiny bit of like a pigment to it. So it goes on and it's beautifully brightening. Like, it doesn't leave a white cast. It doesn't flash back, anything like that. It feels so silky and smooth in like on the skin, but it just brightens just the tiniest bit. The pink tone really does help to like bring that under eye portion of the face to life. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful when applied with a brush. It looks beautiful applied with a sponge or a powder puff. Like, this is such a beautiful powder. And for only $12, it's literally half the price of my Lottie London. So I use pretty much both of these like interchangeably, but they're both so freaking spectacular. And then when it comes to a pressed powder, I think pressed powder is definitely one of those things that I prefer to use to set my entire face. Pressed powders I find can be really difficult to like find a good one. especially when you have dry skin, powder really just likes to absorb moisture. Like, that's its whole purpose in life. So when you have dry skin, you definitely don't want, there's no moisture to absorb. So what it ends up doing is just sucking the life out of your skin. And it can be very difficult to find a powder that doesn't do that. These two, however, are so fire. So this one is probably my most used this year. This is the Covergirl Advanced Radiance Pressed Powder. So you guys can tell I definitely have loved this very, very much. I am almost done with it. It's almost about to go into the empties bin. This is beautiful. I have it in the shade 110. It's just a really nice, I do not use this. I do not use this to set my under eyes. Looks awful on the under eyes, but as an all over the face setting powder, it's beautiful. It provides just a little bit of extra coverage. There's a teeny tiny little bit of a tint to it. I wouldn't say it really is like extra coverage, but it does give just a little bit of something extra to the skin. It never looks heavy. It never looks powdery. If you overuse this, it can get a little bit cakey. So just be aware of that. But it adds the most subtle amount of luminosity to the skin. It goes on and it sets your makeup without just like killing your glow, basically. So I really enjoy it for that. It's just a really, really nice powder at a very nice price point as well. And then we have the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Translucent Setting Powder. And guys, I just love this stuff so much. This looks just as beautiful on the under eyes as it does all over the rest of the face. You want to talk about a super finely milled, super lightweight kind of powder. I really see how it has a little bit of a white cast to it. I like that, especially when it comes to the under eyes. Let me see if I can find my powder puff. So I take my sponge and I just kind of gently dip it into the pan, pick up a small amount of product, and then just press it on the under eye. I do think this looks best applied with like a damp sponge or a powder puff, but it just kind of instantly brightens up that under eye area. Can you guys see the difference? How that kind of like brightened and lifted this under eye? Oh my gosh, it just looks so pretty. It just looks so pretty. I like it so, so much. It doesn't look heavy. It's not overly drying. It doesn't look cakey, just goes on and it brightens slightly. This is in the shade Brightening Translucent, I believe. I just love this stuff so, so much, especially like on the center of the face, because I really enjoy a nice bright under eye. And this definitely gives that to me. It's fantastic. Love both of these powders so, so very much. They're fantastic. And I think they're around the same price point as well. And that brings me into the very last category for today's video, which is going to be face palettes. And I feel like face palettes, they just don't get enough hype. I feel like a good face palette is really something that can be so special and so wonderful. So I have 3 of my very favorites of the year. First up, we have the most affordable of the bunch. This is the You Can Be Versatility Shaping Palette. Now, this is a blush and bronzer contour palette. This is $6 off of Amazon. You get 8 different pans of product in here. It is huge. Packaging, really, really nice. I mean, it's straight up plastic kind of packaging, but it's nice and thick and solid plastic, so it doesn't feel dinky or flimsy in any way. You get 4 bronzer shades and 4 blush shades. I think the blush shades in here are so pretty. I love that you get this orange kind of terracotta color. Then you get something that's like a petal pink. You get something that's a little bit mauvier, and then something that's a little bit more berry toned. And then the bronzers in here are beautiful. They're all more cool toned, so they go on and they bring life to the face, but they also shape. They're very soft, they're very workable, they're very blendable. It's just really, really great. So if you're looking for a good, affordable blush, bronzer / contour kind of palette, I highly recommend this one. I reach for this continuously. It is so, so good. Now, if you want an all over the face kind of palette, like, you know, it's got your blush, it's got your bronzer, and it's got your highlight, this one right here. So this is from Kimchi Chic Beauty. This is the Life in Plastique Face Palette. Y'all, first of all, packaging, 10 out of freaking 10. Not only do I love the imagery on this palette, but it's also textured. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is like a fine layer of glitter all over this palette, and it's just pretty. It's just pretty to look at. It feels nice to touch. I love this so very much. It is not super expensive either. Kimchi Chic is just, it's pretty affordable just in general, so I love that. But then you open it up and this is the inside of the palette. So on one side you have some warmer tones, on the other side you have some cooler tones. I adore this. These highlights are freaking blinding. They're so beautiful and soft, and like they're just everything you want a good highlight to be. The blushes and the bronzers are the same way. Her powder has a very kind of unique texture to it. It is very thin. It's very thin and very lightweight. There's not a lot of body to it at all. But because of that, it just goes on and it blends out like almost instantly. It just looks so pretty on the skin. I am so in love with it. So I love that you get a warmer blush and a cooler blush. I also like that you get a bronzer and a contour in here. So this one is definitely, I think they're both classified as bronzers, but I use this one as my bronzer and this one as my contour because it's much cooler toned. And then you get a kind of like champagne tone, and you get this icy like pinky white kind of color. This thing is freaking fantastic. I love it. I use it all the time. This is usually what I take with me when I go traveling, anything like that, because I've got pretty much everything I need in one palette. It's beautiful. Love it so much. And then for our high-end price point, we have this from Ofra. And you know, Ofra is one of those brands that I really do love so very much. I just wish their stuff wasn't so expensive. Like, some of their face palettes and things like that go for around $100, and there is no way on earth I would ever. But when I come across their things at discounted prices, I always try to scoop them up because they are very high quality. So this is the Ofra Midi palette in the shade Light. It's like the Face It Midi palette. So what you have in here is a bronzer, a contour, and a highlight. You also get a nice full-size mirror in here. The actual packaging is nice and plastic. It feels pretty heavy and like good quality. Very sturdy. This would be great to travel with. It protects and insulates the powders inside very well. So the bronzer in here is really gorgeous, like perfect. It's warm enough but not like orange or like kind of Oompa Loompa looking. The contour in here is the perfect amount of coolness, and then the highlight is just genuinely freaking blinding. Ofra makes some of my very favorite highlights on earth. They kind of have this like patented liquid to powder, like, I don't know, they're a baked formula, but they're so freaking glowy. They're so glowy and gorgeous on the skin without ever looking powdery or glittery. They're just so pretty. They give you such a gorgeous kind of glow. This thing's fantastic. I like this because I have all of my face steps in one palette, especially when I'm on the go. Just kind of super easy to reach for this and just kind of get my makeup done. Guys, that is this year's best of Complexion, the best of 2023. All in all, I think there was some really fantastic makeup that was released this year. I am so excited for what next year has to bring. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up before you leave. Let me know, were your picks, like, did anything I talk about in today's video ring true for you as well? And if not, what are some of your favorites of the year? I would love to know. Is there anything that I missed this year that I kind of need to go, like, check out? Guys, as always, no filters, no fancy lighting. It is just me sitting in front of my camera, playing with my very favorite makeup of the year. Hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing, and until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.